board of 7, 11, 15, 25 people that can canvass the bar and see who might be the best qualified to be a judge, not just based on politics. It should be a board, I think, that's bipartisan, equally bipartisan, but based on, again, knowledge and writing skill and organizational skills and judicial disposition and temperament, a lot of things that go into this that aren't going to come out in an election campaign. And I think that, although again it does seem like, I guess I disagree. I don't think that's special interest deciding things. I think that the governor makes the final decision. He or she is accountable to people ultimately. But I think that there is a way to have people who can delve into what a person is really like as a judicial candidate make that decision. And so I think that is probably a better system than the confirmation process or election campaign.
So we've got 5 minutes time for one final question. I'll first give a shot to somebody who's not asked one, and seeing your hand first, great.
All right, good. Professor Simmons, my question is primarily for you. I guess I tend to agree with your view as far as judicial elections, but I'm wondering if you see, what you see, if at all, is the process of keeping accountable judges once they're on the bench in the process of nominations.
I mean, that's the Achilles heel of this position. I agree. I mean, I think again, I concede that the best part of democracy, I mean, the only good part of democracy is that you have a check on power. That's why we put up with all the other stuff that democracy gives us that we don't like. I mean, I don't have much of an answer to that. I mean, you do have an impeachment process. You do have. Let me say something about the retention election system, which is something that could be used this way. Retention again is when a board gives nominees, the governor selects, and after 10 years, in front of the judges, in front of the electorate. And that might not be a bad way if retention elections are seen as sort of, if you will, like an automatic recall election. So after 10 years, you can look at this judge and say, okay, have they done something really, really awful? Are they, obviously if they're corrupt or if they commit a felony, you can impeach them under most systems. But if they've done things that you think are really terrible, and not just letting out some convict that did something bad, or something that was really beyond what you expect a judge to do, I think the retention election system could work in that way, which is a way of having the voters have their say. It's a kind of an expensive way of doing it. We can see. I think it did backfire in the case of Iowa judges, but maybe that's what should have happened according to Professor Huebert. I don't know, but I think that the retention elections might be a way of putting some check on that if you have really a judge that's really using his sort of power.
I don't have anything to add. Thank you. Let me just one quick follow-up, and I'll give you guys both a chance to respond. And here I'm going to express my own views. I actually think that retention elections are just as bad, or almost just as bad, as judicial elections. Because my real worry is, apropos of Iowa, a situation where judges are going to be guided by their prospects for re-election when they decide cases, rather than deciding them according to their view of the law, or perhaps more properly, that they're going to mold their view of the law to suit their thoughts about what's most likely to result in their re-election. So, what about a system, unlike we have, as far as I know, in any state in the country, but like one that exists in some other Western countries, where instead of appointing judges for life, instead of giving them life tenure, or making them subject to elections, we give them tenure for a fixed period of years, say 10, maybe 15 years, without the possibility of reappointment. What do you all think of that sort of European, the system that exists in some European countries along those lines?
I think it's better than a pure, if they're appointed for life, but I think it would be a step in the wrong direction from what they have now. I think judges should have in mind that they will be held accountable to some extent. I think that's the point, to have some check on them, to make sure they don't step too far out of line. And if they figure they can do whatever they want, they will do whatever they want, and that can often be a bad thing. In general, we don't want our people in power to be able to do whatever they want, and that's why we have judicial elections in the first place, and that's why I think we should keep them.
I'm not fond of that idea for the opposite reason. It seems like you're turning out the good judges the bad in that case. I don't like term limits either, generally. I don't see how that doesn't really seem to solve the problem of overreaching in power. They can do whatever they want for 10, 15 years, and then there's no repercussions because they're out of the job anyway. Meanwhile, judges, there are plenty of justices that are very good judges that could be on the bench for 30 years. They could do great job, why we're making them stop doing a job that they're serving the people very well at, and I wouldn't think that's very useful. So I'm not in favor of that.
Well, please join me in thanking both of our panelists.